Hiya! Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the film Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant is directed by Ridley Scott and stars Michael Fassbender, and it also stars some cannon fodder, for the want of the better word. So just to warn everyone off the top of the bat here, I'm going to be talking spoilers throughout the review of this film. It's been out for a while now, a couple of weeks at least, so I feel I haven't had at least some kind of chance to do it. I'm a little bit late on the review anyway because I've not been doing so many videos recently. So rather than do a sort of typical review, I'm going to go straight into talking about spoilers in relation to this film as we go through. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen the film, come back, watch this later once you've had a chance to see it. Okay? So, obviously the film's been doing a little bit oddly. It didn't open too badly. It kind of crashed at the box office on its second weekend. What should have been, I guess, a pretty strong weekend for it really, given that it's a big sort of holiday, bank holiday type weekend. The film's getting some mixed reviews as well. I know a lot of people who really like the film. I know a lot of people who don't like the film. And I think it's going to come down to what you want from your Alien film. So, in terms of the franchise itself, the first thing to say is I'm a huge fan of Alien. I'm a huge fan of Aliens. I quite enjoyed Prometheus. I quite enjoyed Alien 3. I don't really watch the AVP type films, and I thought Alien 4 was, it's a terrible film really. So I've got no time for that one, but for the most part the franchise has been great. And I really enjoyed what Ridley Scott did with Prometheus. I felt that he tried something a little bit different, exploring that lore, that background. I thought he was really going for something there, and I enjoyed that film. I think the film had some silly parts to it. It certainly had some structural issues, some content and story issues. Everyone's got that favourite meme of why do you run away from the falling spaceship in the direction of the way the spaceship is falling? Why don't you just run to the sides? For me, Alien Covenant, it kind of did the worst of a Prometheus movie and the worst of an Alien movie, and kind of mashed them together into one film. And I came out of the film initially thinking sort of, nah, yeah, the film's, nah, it's alright, it's okay, beautiful, it's a beautiful film, incredibly well shot. The film is visually stunning. The acting's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the acting in the film. I thought some of the characters were interesting, but no one was really that well fleshed out. I did have a lot of problems with the story, and I felt that the story was, it really was full of holes. It had a lot to sort of distract you while you're watching the film, particularly with decisions that were made by the cast, by the characters within the film. And I felt that really sort of let it down. So on one level, I was quite capable, was watching the film, I was quite capable of divorcing myself from the fact that it's part of the Aliens franchise, just enjoying it as a bit of a horror thriller type action movie, all sort of blended into one. A little bit of Alien, a little bit of Aliens, a little bit of Prometheus, all kind of mashed together. And, you can clearly see it's a studio trying to get from where they were with Prometheus, which obviously a lot of people didn't like it, didn't get it, and trying to get into Aliens just as fast as they possibly can. Let's just get us into the Aliens, let's get past. It does feel like there's a whole load of mythology and history here that's being glossed over. A little story that wasn't being allowed to be told because we have to get to the aliens. Got to get to the aliens much faster. So, yeah, for me it was fine in the cinema. Coming out of it and thinking about it, once I'd got out of the cinema and once I'd considered it amongst the rest of the Alien films, the rest of that chronology, that's when really it started to weigh on me a little bit. And I found myself coming back and looking at specific scenes, thinking about specific scenes, and being unable to sort of gloss over them in my mind. And that, I think, is where the film sort of was disappointing for me. Instead of sort of just coming out with a good sort of happy, oh, this was fun, this was just an entertaining alien film, I came out of it comparing it to Alien, comparing it to Aliens, comparing it to Prometheus, because it invites those comparisons. It does the same thing as happens in a lot of those movies. It invites the comparisons. And for me, it failed in those comparisons. Now, to talk about some specifics, I don't have any particular problem. I've certainly seen some people commenting that it kind of ruins the story of where the aliens came from. I think there's more to this story than we know about at this stage. I think there's more to be told, and I'm hoping that they can find a decent way to tie together the scenes we saw in Prometheus of the far past of the human race with the engineers, and the scenes from the future, I'm talking up to aliens, to try and tie that chronology together. I don't necessarily care, and again, I mentioned spoilers, I don't necessarily care whether David is the ultimate creator of the xenomorph, or if the engineers, or a faction of the engineers, had created the xenomorph, and David happened to, maybe based on what he saw in, I think it was on LV-226, when he was on board the Prometheus, maybe based on what he saw there, maybe he was trying to engineer a recreation of the sort of alien that we see on the mural in the wall. I don't really care. Either the aliens that we see in the film Alien, either they are created by the engineers, or they're created by David. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I don't have some kind of idea that it's more, there's more mystery when we don't know, or it's better if we don't know so much about them. I don't mind about that. They're attempting to tell a story. It's about creation, it's about life, it's about meeting your maker. That I get the symbology that's hidden within this film, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the plain stupidity of the crew of the Covenant. So let's compare 3 films. Okay, we can compare 3 films. In the film Alien, they're working from hypersleep because the ship has detected a signal, and it's company policy to investigate the signals. They travel down to the planet. They're wearing full spacesuits. They've got their helmets on, and John Hurt's character sticks his head over an egg. Never seen anything like it before. He's attacked by a facehugger. They go to bring him back on board. Ripley says, no, it's not coming back on board, it's a quarantine hazard. Ash, who we know has been programmed to look for these kind of things, we find out later, Ash overrides Ripley and brings on board. So there's some obviously good sort of quarantine, safety precautions type stuff going on there. They're wearing suits, they've got their helmets on. Ripley says you can't come back on board, and it's the robot Ash who has been programmed to prioritize his alien life who allows them back on board. All good, sensible stuff. How do they meet the alien? They're sent to look for the signal, they have reasonable precautions, and they take it seriously. Okay. Aliens. As we discover in Aliens, they've had people colonizing the planet, LV-426. There's been people colonizing that planet for 20 years. And so I assume they've already done their sensible stuff about testing out the environment, making sure everyone's happy with it, and they've arrived on the environment, and in 20 years there's been no obvious threats of, let's say, illness from bacteria, viruses, or whatever else might have been on the planet. So they go and land on the planet. Great. And then we find out that Burke has sent some of the people from the colony out to find the ship that was reported by Ripley, and so they go back to try and find out what happened to the colony. So again, it's a war mission. You've got 20 years of people living on the colony to understand that it's okay, it's quite safe there. And they're arriving with their guns, ready to fight, hence no helmets. They know it's a safe environment, they've been terraforming it for 20 years. They arrive with no helmets, and no spacesuits, and guns ready to fight. Okay, now let's talk about Alien Covenant. Let's forget all about Prometheus and some of the stupidity about getting lost where you've got a map thing and all that kind of rubbish. You know, the stupidity of getting your face up in front of something that then spits at you, attacks you. Let's talk about Alien Covenant. Now, for me, the crew of the Covenant have to be the dumbest bunch of people who are ever sent up into space. The whole way they arrive on the planet, to me, is a joke. Yes, they're woken up out of hypersleep, a mysterious event, pure chance. Pure chance. It's not David sending out some solar burst that stops them. It's like a plasma burst or whatever it is they call it in the film. It's pure chance that they are interrupted and woken up from hypersleep. It's got nothing to do with the actions of David or anything else like that. And having fixed the ship, they find out this is planet. This is a signal coming from this planet, and curiosity gets to them. Okay, I buy that. I buy. You're curious. It's a song. Where is this song coming from? So I'll buy that you are curious about this song and about who it is that's here sending this signal out. I'll buy that. So they go and want to investigate. Okay, fair enough. They don't want to go back into cryosleep. Fair enough. I mean, they've been in cryosleep the entire time, and all of the colonists have survived the cryosleep. So yeah, they've lost a couple of people. Fair enough. But they have an overall mission, and they have a planet they're heading to that they know is safe. This is where things for me start to break down. I keep thinking about the fact that they have a planet to go to, and purely because they don't want to go into hypersleep, they choose to come and investigate this planet. A planet that they can tell from space is perfect for their needs. And you would never get a better, more excellent opportunity than to go straight to this planet. Sounds suspicious. Interesting. They can tell this is a perfect planet from space. They can tell all this about it. However, they're unable to tell the planet is full of plant life, but is utterly devoid of all animal life, which must seem quite weird. Surely when you're doing this kind of terraforming type projects, you should be aware that there are likely to be naturally occurring creatures on the planet. Why is that not part of a sort of a sense of caution that they take? They send almost the entire crew down to the planet in the first mission. Not one or two, almost the entire crew goes down. And they've got an android they can send. They have obviously sort of military types they can send down, but they send almost the entire crew with no spacesuits and no helmets, and they just go blundering around, stamping on things, falling around all over the place, and they get attacked by this sort of organism that attacks two of them and completely destroys the entire mission. It's just, I don't even want to talk about some of the other things that happen in the film. You know, why they don't just send the android down in the first place. How is it they're not able to detect the presence of an alien city full of corpses within walking distance of where they land? Not able to detect that. We have to have the same stormy sort of landing thing again. At least you do get some idea of, let's say, quarantine, and they are actually trying to quarantine some of the people, but they immediately just go rushing back onto the ship like that's the right thing to do. They seem so utterly unprepared for what's going to happen, and to me that's ridiculous. You're going to an alien planet. They're so stupid. The level of trust they have for David is crazy. Sticking your face into the eggs. I don't even want to talk about how David created an egg. How do you make an egg? How do you make an egg without a queen? Without something to lay the egg? There's a reason why you have this thing. Which came first, chicken or the egg? Which came first, chicken or the egg? Well, it's obvious the chicken. We all know the chicken came first. Something has to lay the egg. You know, that thing can come from something that's not an egg. That thing can come from another, form of creation. But something has to lay an egg. You can't make an egg. Eggs don't grow. It's ridiculous. So much was glossed over. So much with Elizabeth Shaw was glossed over. So much about, how David was prepared by Elizabeth, how all that came apart, how David must have at some point betrayed Elizabeth, how he knew to release the goo onto the aliens, why he even chose to do that. Why do people think the xenomorph is a perfect alien, a perfect creature? It's not. The xenomorph is a stupid creature. I mean, if you think about what the xenomorph can do, yes, it drools all the time, which must be a massive, sort of loss of energy, which gives away its position all the time. It's a species that needs a host in order to recreate, which is an incredibly inefficient way of going about doing things, but it needs a host in order to reproduce. So that can't be that great. Also, the adult alien, goes around indiscriminately murdering potential hosts. So unless it has no idea of its own recreation cycle, why is it such a perfect organism that it will go after potential hosts and kill them, ruining their opportunity to grow its own species? It's only a perfect organism, if your intention is stealth destruction. But if that's the case, the black goo is your perfect destroyer. Destroys everything. It wipes out everything. Where did he get the genetic material from to experiment with? Anyway, look, for me it makes no sense whatsoever. It's a weak film. It's got weak story issues. I was really disappointed by this film. And what it made me question was The Martian. So everyone's talking about how weak Ridley Scott's films have been. They've had very weak stories. Exodus, Gods and Kings, he's had a lot of flops. And then he really hit on a great thing with The Martian. And I'm beginning to question how much of that was Ridley Scott. Because the one thing I know about The Martian is Weir, the guy who wrote the book, has a background in science. His father, I think, is a physicist. And I think Weir's background itself is computer science. And he meticulously researched his book for scientific accuracy. What he did was he laid the groundwork for a great quality story. And I'm now of the opinion that without that level of meticulous detail, Ridley Scott's sort of beautiful shot making, his beautiful framing, the way he actually directs amazing visuals, I think would have been nothing in The Martian if it wasn't for that solid grounding of the reality of the book. And as a result, I'm beginning to, I'm questioning now whether Scott really has had this turning point, this renaissance in his career. Particularly given some of the things he said about other subjects. He's very vocal these days about superhero movies, about other stuff like that, and yet he's adamant about his, his big franchise and the fact that he's going to be pursuing this franchise, and that's about all there is to it. I do think he's missing a trick here. I think I like Prometheus a lot better than I like Covenant. I think Prometheus had bold ideas. I think it really was something they took their time over. it didn't gel with all audiences. And I think that if this film, Alien Covenant, gels, that's nice, that's good, but you have to have sort of switched off and treat it like a, a dumb sci-fi thriller type film. And I really wanted more from the next film in the Alien franchise than that, particularly with what had been set up in Prometheus and what we're supposed to be leading towards, which is a lead up to Alien and Aliens. Sad, really, for me. Anyway, so that's a lot of detail about why I didn't like the film. It's an enjoyable film, don't get me wrong. It's enjoyable. I wanted so much more from it. I think I wanted so much from it that it disappointed me so much when I actually got into the cinema and saw it. And certainly it didn't grab me. I didn't find anything to really latch onto. There wasn't a performance. Even Fassbender, who I thought was excellent in the film in his roles, a lot of heavy lifting for him. I didn't latch onto him that much. There wasn't anything there that really got me going for this film. And the more I think about it now, the worse I think it is. For me, the Alien franchise goes Aliens, Alien, Prometheus. Frankly, I've got Alien 3 and Covenant hovering around about that next slot, followed by 4 and then the AVP rubbish. So, yeah, very, very disappointing film. It's a 5 out of 10. It looks great. If it was on TV, I'd happily watch it again. Yeah, it's just an average film. And I really did want more from Ridley Scott and from Aliens franchise. It's an average film. Anyway, tell me what you think about it. Very spoilerific this review, so hopefully you've all seen it. And I know plenty of people that disagree with me, who thought it was a great film, thought it was a bit of a romp. And if you got that from it, I'm really happy for you. Everyone enjoys movies in their own way. Feel free to like, comment, let me know what you thought about the film. Leave me some comments below. And yes, tell me what you thought of Alien Covenant. Good or bad? You decide. Anyway, thanks for watching today, and bye! Bye!